You want to believe what happened to me last week. It was just a regular Saturday morning. My husband, Mark, had gone out for his usual morning run, and I was lounging on the couch with a cup of coffee, enjoying the rare silence of our house. Little did I know, my world was about to be turned upside down. I was just about to dive into my latest romance novel when the doorbell rang. Confused, I put my book down and walked over to answer it. As soon as I opened the door, a woman I had never seen before burst into my house, her face red with anger. "Where is that bitch who sleeps with my husband?" she shouted, her voice echoing through the hallway. I was so shocked by the absurdity of the situation that I just stood there, my mouth hanging open. "I'm really sorry, but you have the wrong address," I managed to stammer, trying to process what was happening. The woman took a step back, looking slightly taken aback herself. "Wait, this is 324 Elm Street, right?" I nodded, still too stunned to speak. She sighed and looked around, her anger deflating a bit. I can't believe this. I must have the wrong house. Just as she was about to leave, a thought crossed my mind and I blurted out, "Who is your husband?" "Frank." "Frank Thompson," she replied, a hint of confusion in her eyes. And that S when it hit me. My heart sank as I realized who she was talking about. Frank Thompson was my boss and the man I'd been secretly seeing for the past 6 months. Suddenly, the pieces started falling into place and my shock turned into a cold dread. "Wait," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Why do you think your husband is cheating?" The woman, whose name I learned was Lisa, looked at me suspiciously but then started to explain. "I've seen the texts, the late-night calls, and I followed him once. He came to this neighborhood, but I guess I got the house number wrong." My jaw dropped as she continued, revealing details I had hoped would never come to light. I tried to keep my face neutral, but I could feel my cheeks burning with guilt. Lisa looked me in the eye and said, "We have to teach these bastards a lesson and you have to help me." I was completely taken aback. "Help you? How?" She squared her shoulders, determination etched on her face. "We need to catch them in the act, and you're going to help me do it." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to slam the door and pretend this never happened, but another part of me, the part that was tired of the lies and deceit, felt a strange sense of relief at the idea of exposing the truth. "All right," I found myself saying, "let S do it." Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a series of events that would change everything. Once the initial shock wore off, Lisa and I sat down at the kitchen table to figure out our plan. She was a whirlwind of emotions, her anger barely contained as she outlined her idea to catch Frank and my wife Laura red-handed. I could barely keep up, my mind still reeling from the revelation that my wife was cheating with my boss. "Okay," Lisa said, tapping her fingers on the table. "We need to figure out their usual meeting spot. Do you have any idea where they might be?" I thought back to the times when Laura would come home late from work, claiming she had been working overtime. I always found it odd because her job as a graphic designer didn't usually require late hours. "They're at a hotel downtown," I said slowly, piecing together the clues. "I have seen some charges on our credit card statement that didn't make sense. It could be there." Lisa nodded, her eyes narrowing. "Perfect, we'll catch them there. Do you have access to her calendar or anything that could tell us when they meet?" I hesitated, feeling a pang of betrayal as I thought about going through Laura S. things. But then I remembered the pain and humiliation I felt every time I suspected something was off. I had to know for sure. "I can check her phone. She usually leaves it lying around." "Good," Lisa said, her determination stealing my resolve. "Let S do it. The sooner, the better." That evening, I waited for Laura to leave her phone unattended. She was in the shower when I finally got my chance. My hands trembled as I scrolled through her messages and calendar, looking for any hint of her meetings with Frank. And there it was, a string of messages arranging a meeting at the hotel tomorrow night. I showed Lisa the messages and she nodded, a grim smile on her face. Tomorrow night, then. We'll catch them. The next day was a blur. I went through the motions at work, barely able to focus. My heart pounded every time I thought about what we were about to do. Frank walked by my desk a couple of times, completely unaware of the storm brewing, It took everything in me to keep from confronting him right then and there. When the evening finally came, I met up with Lisa near the hotel. We parked a few blocks away and walked to the hotel entrance, our nerves on edge. Lisa had brought a small video camera, determined to get concrete evidence. "Are you ready?" she asked, her voice tense. I nodded, swallowing hard. "Yeah, let us do this." We walked into the hotel lobby, trying to blend in. Lisa had booked a room under a different name, and we headed up to the third floor where we knew Frank and Laura would be meeting. My heart raced as we approached the door to their room. We could hear muffled voices inside confirming they were there. "Now or never," Lisa whispered, holding up the camera. "On 3. I nodded, taking a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. We burst into the room, the door slamming against the wall. Laura and Frank were tangled in each other's arms, their faces frozen in shock and horror as they realized they had been caught. The room fell silent, the only sound the harsh breathing of all 4 of us. I felt a mix of rage, betrayal, and a strange sense of relief wash over me. This was it. The truth was out. "Well, well," Lisa said, her voice dripping with sarcasm as she pointed the camera at them. "Caught in the act. How do you feel now, Frank?" "Laura?" they stammered, trying to cover themselves and spit out excuses, but Lisa wasn't having any of it. "Save it. We have all the evidence we need. You are both disgusting." Laura's eyes met mine, and I saw a flicker of regret and fear. "Mark, I'm so sorry, but I couldn't hear her. All I could think about was the months of deceit, the lies, and the hurt. We were done, Laura. You and I are finished." Frank tried to step forward, but Lisa cut him off. "Don't even think about it, Frank. You've got a lot more to worry about than just your marriage. This is going to cost you your job, too." The reality of what was happening finally hit me. This was the end of my marriage and the beginning of a new, uncertain chapter. But at that moment, all I felt was a strange sense of liberation. The truth was out, and there was no going back. Leaving the hotel that night felt surreal. Lisa and I had done what we set out to do, but the emotional aftermath was just beginning to sink in. I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and dread as I headed back home, knowing I had to confront Laura one final time. When I walked through the front door, the house was eerily silent. Laura was sitting on the couch, her face pale and tear-streaked. She looked up as I entered, her eyes red and puffy from crying. "Mark, please, can we talk?" she pleaded, her voice trembling. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check. "There's nothing left to talk about, Laura. You lied to me. You cheated on me with my boss. Our marriage is over." She stood up, wringing her hands. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but please, can we at least try to work through this? We had something special." I shook my head, feeling a surge of anger. "Special? You call what you did special? You betrayed me, Laura. You betrayed our marriage. There's no coming back from that." Tears streamed down her face as she took a step closer. "Mark, I was confused. I made a terrible mistake. Please, I love you. Don't throw everything away." I could see the desperation in her eyes, but all I felt was a hollow emptiness. "It's too late, Laura. I've already packed some of my things. I'll be staying with a friend until I figure out what to do next. We'll talk about the divorce later." She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. Part of me wanted to comfort her, but I knew it would only make things harder. I turned and walked out, the sound of her cries echoing in my ears. I spent the next few days crashing at my friend Mike's place. He was a good guy, someone I could trust, and he didn't ask too many questions. I told him the basics, and he offered his support without prying. Meanwhile, the situation at work was a nightmare. I dreaded facing Frank, but I had no choice. I needed my job, and quitting wasn't an option. The tension was palpable every time we were in the same room, but we both avoided direct confrontation. However, I knew it was only a matter of time before things came to a head. One afternoon, as I was trying to focus on a project, my phone buzzed. It was Lisa. "Can you meet me for coffee? We need to talk about what comes next." I agreed, and we met at a small cafe downtown. Lisa looked tired but determined. "So what now?" she asked, stirring her coffee absently. I sighed, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down on me. I need to talk to a lawyer, get the divorce process started. And I need to figure out how to handle things at work. What about you? Lisa's expression hardened. I'm going to make sure Frank faces the consequences. I have already contacted his superiors. He's not getting away with this. Good, I said, nodding. He deserves to be held accountable. We talked for a while longer, hashing out the details of our next steps. It felt good to have someone on my side, someone who understood the betrayal and the anger. The following week, I scheduled a meeting with a divorce attorney. Walking into the law office felt like stepping into a new reality, one where my life was being torn apart and pieced back together in a different form. The attorney, a sharp and empathetic woman named Karen, listened carefully as I explained my situation. "We'll start with the basics," she said, her tone professional yet kind. "We'll file for divorce on the grounds of adultery. Given the evidence you have, it should be a straightforward case." I nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and sadness. "What about the house and our assets?" "We'll work through all of that," Karen assured me. "For now, focus on taking care of yourself. This is going to be a tough process, but we'll get through it." As the days turned into weeks, I tried to find some semblance of normalcy. I threw myself into work, despite the uncomfortable encounters with Frank. I avoided Laura's calls and texts, knowing that any conversation would only reopen the wounds. Then, one morning, I received an email from HR. They wanted to discuss a matter of great importance. My heart raced as I read the message, realizing that the fallout from the affair was about to impact my professional life as well. When I walked into the HR office, Frank was already there, looking haggard and stressed. The HR manager, Susan, motioned for me to sit down. "Mark, Frank, we need to address the situation between you two," she began, her voice calm and measured. "We can have personal issues affecting the workplace." I glanced at Frank, who avoided my gaze. "I understand," I said. "But this isn't just a personal issue. Frank's actions have compromised my ability to work here." Susan nodded. "We are aware of the situation and we are taking it seriously. Frank, you will be placed on administrative leave while we conduct a thorough investigation." Frank's face paled, but he nodded silently. I felt a surge of vindication, knowing that justice was finally being served. Later that day, as I was packing up my things to leave work, my phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Laura. "Mark, please, can we talk? I need to see you." I stared at the message, my emotions a tangled mess. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to keep moving forward without looking back. But another part of me knew that I needed closure, for both our sakes. I took a deep breath and typed out a response. "Okay, let's meet tomorrow." Meeting Laura was something I had dreaded and anticipated in equal measure. We agreed to meet at a quiet park near our house, a place where we had shared countless happy moments. The irony was not lost on me. I arrived early, finding a bench that overlooked a small pond. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the water. I tried to calm my racing thoughts, but the anger and betrayal were still fresh in my mind. Laura arrived a few minutes later. She looked nervous, her eyes puffy from crying. She sat down next to me, leaving a respectful distance between us. For a few moments neither of us spoke, the silence heavy with unspoken words. "Mark," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am so sorry. I know I've hurt you more than I can ever make up for, but I need you to know that I never meant for any of this to happen." I turned to look at her, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. "Then why did it happen, Laura? How could you betray me like this?" Tears welled up in her eyes as she struggled to find the words. "I don't know. It started off as a distraction, something to break the monotony, and then it spiraled out of control. I never stopped loving you, Mark. I lost myself." Her words hit me hard, but they didn't change the facts. "Do you think that makes it any easier, knowing that you lost yourself while destroying our marriage?" Laura shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "No, it doesn't, T. I know I can ask for your forgiveness, but I needed to tell you that I'm truly sorry, and that I'll regret this for the rest of my life." I looked away, staring at the pond as the sun dipped below the horizon. The past few weeks had been a whirlwind of emotions, and now, sitting here with Laura, I felt a strange sense of closure. "Laura," I said finally, my voice steady, "I can forgive you right now. Maybe I never will, but I need to move on. We both do." She nodded, wiping her tears. "I understand, and I hope someday you'll find it in your heart to forgive me, even if it is just a little." I stood up, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. "Take care of yourself, Laura. I hope you find peace." As I walked away, I felt a sense of finality. The chapter with Laura was closing, and while it hurt, it was also freeing. I was ready to start the next chapter of my life. In the following weeks, life started to settle into a new routine. I moved into a small apartment downtown, a fresh start that felt both exciting and daunting. The divorce proceedings were moving along, thanks to Karen S.'s diligent work, and I tried to focus on rebuilding my life. One evening, I received a call from Lisa. "Hey, Mark. I wanted to check in and see how you were doing." "I am hanging in there," I replied, appreciating her concern. "It's been tough, but I am managing." "Good to hear," she said, her tone softening. "I just wanted you to know that Frank has been officially terminated from his position. The company found enough evidence of misconduct and they decided to let him go." A sense of justice washed over me. "That's good news. Thanks for letting me know, Lisa." "No problem," she said. "And if you ever need to talk or just need a friend, you know where to find me." As the days turned into weeks, I started to find joy in the small things again. I picked up new hobbies, like running and cooking, and even joined a local book club. The pain of betrayal was still there, but it was slowly fading, replaced by a newfound sense of independence. One Saturday afternoon, as I was browsing through a local farmer-s market, I ran into an old friend, Megan. We had known each other since college, but had lost touch over the years. She looked as surprised to see me as I was to see her. "Mark? Is that you?" she exclaimed, a smile spreading across her face. "Megan? Wow, it's been ages," I replied, feeling a genuine happiness at seeing her again. We caught up over coffee, reminiscing about old times and sharing updates about our lives. It felt good to reconnect with someone who knew me before everything went south. Over the next few months, Megan and I started hanging out more. What began as casual meetups soon turned into deeper conversations and genuine companionship. There was no pressure, no rush to define what we had. It was just two old friends finding comfort in each other's company. One evening, as we were sitting on my apartment balcony watching the city lights, Megan turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Mark, can I ask you something?" "Of course," I said, curious about what was on her mind. "How do you feel about everything now? With Laura, I mean. Do you think you'll ever be able to trust again?" Her question caught me off guard, but it was something I had been grappling with for a while. "Honestly, I don't know," I admitted. "What Laura did hurt me deeply. It's hard to imagine opening myself up like that again." Megan nodded, her eyes kind and understanding. "I get that. Trust is hard to rebuild once it's broken, but I believe people can heal, Mark. And I think you are stronger than you realize." Her words resonated with me, and I felt a glimmer of hope. "Thanks, Megan. I appreciate that." We sat in comfortable silence, the city alive around us. For the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of peace. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for a new beginning. As the weeks passed, Megan and I grew closer. Our friendship was a source of comfort and joy, and I found myself looking forward to our time together more and more. She was a breath of fresh air, someone who understood me without judgment and made me laugh even on the darkest days. One evening, as we were having dinner at a cozy Italian restaurant, Megan looked at me with a thoughtful expression. "Mark, have you thought about what you want to do next? I mean, with your life and everything." I sipped my wine, considering her question. "I've been thinking about it a lot, actually. I feel like I need a fresh start, something to really dive into. I've always loved woodworking and building things. Maybe I could start my own custom furniture business." Megan's eyes lit up. "That sounds amazing. You have such a talent for it. I think it would be a great way to channel your energy and create something beautiful." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and for the first time in months, I felt a genuine excitement about the future. Yeah, you're right. It is something I've always wanted to do. Why not now? With Megan's encouragement, I started laying the groundwork for my new business. I found a small workshop space not too far from my apartment and began buying the necessary tools and materials. It was a lot of work, but it was exactly what I needed, a way to focus my energy and rebuild my life. Megan was there every step of the way, offering her support and even helping out in the workshop. Her presence was a constant reminder that I wasn't alone and that there was still good in the world. One evening, after a long day of work, we sat in the workshop, surrounded by sawdust and the scent of freshly cut wood. I looked at Megan, feeling a surge of gratitude. I couldn't have done this without you, you know. She smiled, her eyes sparkling. I'm just happy to see you doing something you love, Mark. You deserve to be happy. Her words touched me deeply, and before I knew it, I found myself leaning in to kiss her. It was a gentle, tentative kiss, but it felt right. When we pulled away, Megan's cheeks were flushed, and she looked at me with a mixture of surprise and warmth. Mark, she began, her voice soft. I didn't expect this, but I'm not opposed to it. I chuckled, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Neither did I, but it feels like the right time. Our relationship gradually shifted from friendship to something more, and it felt natural. Megan was understanding and patient, giving me the space I needed to heal while also being there to support me. We took things slow, enjoying each other's company without rushing into anything. As the months went by, my custom furniture business started to take off. Word of mouth spread, and soon I had a steady stream of clients. It was hard work, but it was fulfilling in a way I hadn't experienced in a long time. One evening, as we were celebrating a particularly successful month with a homemade dinner, Megan raised her glass. To new beginnings and the courage to chase our dreams. I clinked my glass against hers, feeling a warmth spread through me. To new beginnings. The divorce was finalized without much drama. Laura and I had a few more difficult conversations, but we managed to part on relatively amicable terms. She moved to a different city to start over, and I wished her well, hoping she could find peace. With the past finally behind me, I focused on building my future. Megan and I continued to grow closer, and our relationship deepened. She was my rock, my confidant, and my biggest supporter. I realized that I was falling in love with her, and it was a feeling I welcomed with open arms. One weekend, we decided to take a trip to the mountains. It was a beautiful escape from the city, and we spent our days hiking and exploring the breathtaking landscapes. On our last day, we found a secluded spot overlooking a stunning valley, and we sat down to take in the view. Megan, I said, turning to her with a serious expression, I know we've both been through a lot, and I don't want to rush things, but I need you to know that I love you. You've brought so much light into my life, and I can't imagine my future without you. Tears welled up in her eyes as she smiled. I love you too, Mark, more than I ever thought possible. We kissed, the beauty of the moment surrounding us, and I knew that this was the beginning of something truly special. With Megan by my side and my business thriving, I felt a sense of fulfillment and happiness I hadn't known in years. The pain of the past was still there, but it no longer defined me. I had found a new purpose, a new love, and a new life. Looking back, I realized that everything I had been through had led me to this point. The betrayal, the heartache, the struggle, it had all shaped me into the person I was today. And for the first time in a long time, I was excited about the future. Life with Megan was more than I could have ever hoped for. We settled into a comfortable rhythm, balancing work, time with friends, and exploring new adventures together. She was a constant source of joy and support, and I found myself falling more in love with her every day. One Saturday morning, as we were having breakfast on the balcony, Megan turned to me with a thoughtful expression. Mark, have you ever thought about taking a trip, just the two of us, somewhere far away? I looked at her, intrigued. You mean like a vacation? Yeah, she said, her eyes lighting up. We've both been working so hard, and I think we deserve a break. What do you say? I smiled, feeling a surge of excitement. I think that is a great idea. Where do you want to go? Megan pulled out a travel magazine she had been reading. How about Italy? I have always wanted to visit Rome and Florence, Italy. The idea of exploring beautiful cities, enjoying delicious food, and creating new memories with Megan was incredibly appealing. Italy sounds perfect. Planning the trip was half the fun. We spent evenings researching places to visit, making lists of must-see attractions, and dreaming about the adventures we'd have. It was a welcome distraction from the daily grind, and it brought us even closer together. Finally, the day arrived. As the plane took off, I looked at Megan, her excitement mirroring my own. "Here's to new adventures," I said, squeezing her hand. She smiled, her eyes sparkling. To new adventures. Italy was everything we had hoped for and more. We marveled at the ancient ruins in Rome, wandered through the art-filled streets of Florence, and enjoyed romantic evenings in charming little cafes. Every day was a new experience, and I found myself falling even more in love with Megan. One evening, as we sat on a rooftop terrace overlooking the city, I felt a surge of gratitude for the journey that had brought us here. "Megan, I can't imagine my life without you. This trip has been incredible, and I feel like the luckiest man in the world." She leaned in, kissing me softly. "I feel the same way, Mark. You've brought so much happiness into my life, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for us." When we returned home, we felt rejuvenated and more connected than ever. The trip had been a beautiful escape, but it also reinforced our commitment to building a life together. One evening, as we were unpacking our suitcases, Megan turned to me with a serious expression. "Mark, there's something I've been thinking about." I looked up, curious. "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "I know we've both been through a lot, and I don't want to rush things, but I love you, and I want to take the next step in our relationship. I want us to move in together." Her words filled me with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Moving in together was a big step, but it felt right. "I love you too, Megan, and I think moving in together is a great idea." We spent the next few weeks merging our lives, packing up Megan's apartment and making space for her in my place. It was a hectic but exciting time, and it brought us even closer. One evening, as we were arranging furniture in our new shared space, Megan turned to me with a smile. "This feels like home." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "It does, and I can't wait to make more memories here with you." Life settled into a new rhythm. We navigated the challenges of living together, finding a balance that worked for both of us. Our relationship grew stronger, and I felt a sense of peace and happiness that I hadn't known in a long time. One weekend, we decided to host a small dinner party for our friends. It was a perfect evening, filled with laughter, good food, and great company. As the night wound down, I found myself reflecting on how far I had come. Megan must have sensed my thoughts because she took my hand and led me to the balcony. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, her voice soft. I looked at her, feeling a surge of love. "I'm thinking about how grateful I am. For you, for this life we are building together. I never thought I'd find happiness again, but you proved me wrong." She smiled, leaning in to kiss me. "I'm grateful too, Mark, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for us." As we stood there watching the stars, I knew that this was just the beginning of our journey together. The past had shaped us, but it didn't define us. We were moving forward, creating a new chapter filled with love, happiness, and endless possibilities. As Megan and I settled into our new life together, I found myself feeling more at peace than I had in years. The routine we created was comforting, and every day felt like a step forward. My custom furniture business was thriving, and Megan's support was unwavering. One Saturday morning, Megan surprised me with a proposal. "I've been thinking," she said over breakfast. "What if we expanded your business? You've got such a talent for woodworking, and I know there's more you could do." I looked at her, intrigued. "What do you mean?" She smiled, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "What if we opened a storefront? Somewhere people could come in, see your work, and place custom orders. It could be a space for you to showcase your pieces and even offer woodworking classes." The idea was ambitious, but it excited me. "That sounds incredible, Megan, but it is a big step. Are you sure we can handle it?" She reached across the table, taking my hand. "I believe in you, Mark, and I believe in us. We can make this happen together." Her confidence was contagious. "All right," I said, feeling a surge of determination. "Let S do it." We spent the next few months planning and preparing. We found a perfect location for the store, a charming space with plenty of natural light and room for a workshop in the back. It was a lot of work, but it was exhilarating to see our vision come to life. Megan was there every step of the way, helping with everything from design decisions to marketing strategies. Her background in graphic design was invaluable, and together we created a brand that reflected the quality and craftsmanship of my work. On the day of the grand opening, I felt a mix of nerves and excitement. Friends, family, and local community members came to support us, and the store buzzed with energy. Megan stood by my side as we welcomed our first customers. "This is amazing," she whispered, squeezing my hand. "You did it, Mark. We did it," I corrected, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I couldn't have done this without you." The store quickly became a success, drawing in a steady stream of customers and custom orders. We even started offering woodworking classes, which turned out to be a hit. It was incredibly fulfilling to share my passion with others and see them discover their own love for woodworking. As the business grew, so did my relationship with Megan. We navigated the challenges of running a business together with the same teamwork and communication that had brought us this far. Our bond deepened, and I knew without a doubt that she was the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. One evening, as we were closing up the store, I took Megan's hand and led her to the workshop. "There's something I want to show you," I said, my heart pounding with anticipation. She looked at me curiously as I led her to a workbench where I had been working on a special project. I unveiled a beautifully crafted wooden box, its intricate design reflecting the care and love I had put into it. "Mark, it is beautiful," she said, running her fingers over the smooth surface. "What is inside?" I took a deep breath, opening the box to reveal a ring nestled inside. "Megan, you came into my life when I needed you the most. You've been my support, my partner, and my best friend. I love you more than words can express. Will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes as she looked at me, her face breaking into a radiant smile. "Yes, Mark. Yes, I will." Planning our wedding was a joyful experience. We decided on a small, intimate ceremony with close friends and family. It was a beautiful day, filled with love, laughter, and happy tears. As we exchanged vows, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought us to this moment. Life continued to be a series of new beginnings and adventures. The store flourished, and we expanded our offerings, adding home decor and personalized gifts. We became a fixture in the community, hosting events and workshops that brought people together. One evening, as we were relaxing at home, Megan turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Mark, I've been thinking, what if we started a family?" Her words filled me with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "I've thought about it too," I admitted, "and I think it's a wonderful idea." A few months later, we found out Megan was pregnant. The news filled our home with joy and anticipation. We spent the next months preparing for the arrival of our baby, turning a spare room into a nursery and planning for the future. The day our daughter Emma was born was the happiest day of my life. Holding her in my arms, I felt a love deeper than anything I had ever known. Megan and I looked at each other, tears of joy in our eyes, knowing that this was the beginning of a beautiful new chapter. Life as new parents was both challenging and rewarding. We navigated sleepless nights and diaper changes, but every moment was filled with love. Watching Emma grow and develop her own little personality brought us closer together as a family. The store continued to thrive, and we found a balance between work and family life. Megan and I supported each other through the ups and downs, always finding time to nurture our relationship and keep the spark alive. One evening, as we were putting Emma to bed, Megan looked at me with a contented smile. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" I nodded, feeling a surge of gratitude for the life we had built together. "We have, and I wouldn't change a thing." As we stood there, watching our daughter sleep, I knew that the future was bright. The journey had been difficult at times, but it had led me to this moment of profound happiness and fulfillment. With Megan by my side and our family growing, I felt ready to face whatever came next. Life was an adventure, and I was grateful for every twist and turn that had brought us here. The transition into parenthood was a whirlwind of emotions, but Megan and I embraced it wholeheartedly. Our days were filled with laughter, sleepless nights, and moments of pure joy as we watched Emma grow and discover the world around her. One morning, as we sat in the living room playing with Emma, Megan looked at me with a thoughtful expression. "Mark, I've been thinking about something." "What's that?" I asked, curious. "I've been considering going back to school. I've always wanted to get my Master S in design, and I think now might be the right time," she said, her eyes bright with excitement. I smiled, feeling a surge of pride. "That sounds amazing, Megan. I think it's a great idea. I'll support you every step of the way." Her face lit up with gratitude. "Thank you, Mark. It means the world to me." Over the next few months, Megan balanced her classes with being a mother and helping with the store. It was challenging, but she was determined and passionate about her studies. I admired her dedication and did everything I could to support her, taking on more responsibilities at home and in the business. Emma continued to grow, her curiosity and energy keeping us on our toes. Every milestone she reached filled us with pride and joy. Watching Megan balance her ambitions with motherhood inspired me to strive for more in my own life. One evening, after Emma had gone to bed, Megan and I sat on the porch enjoying a rare moment of quiet. She leaned against me, her head resting on my shoulder. "I couldn't have done this without you," she said softly. I kissed the top of her head. "We're a team, Megan, and I wouldn't have it any other way." As the years passed, our lives settled into a comfortable rhythm. Megan completed her degree with flying colors and started working as a design consultant, bringing fresh ideas and creativity to the business. We expanded the store, opening a second location, and continued to thrive. Emma blossomed into a bright and curious child, always eager to learn and explore. She loved spending time in the workshop with me, her tiny hands carefully crafting little projects. It filled me with pride to see her share my passion for woodworking. One weekend, we decided to take a family trip to the mountains, returning to the place where Megan and I had first confessed our love. It was a beautiful and nostalgic experience, filled with laughter and new memories. As we hiked through the trails, Emma running ahead to explore, Megan and I walked hand in hand, reflecting on our journey. "We've come so far," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "We have," I agreed, squeezing her hand, and I couldn't imagine doing it with anyone else. Life continued to be a series of adventures and new beginnings. We faced challenges together, always finding strength in our love and partnership. Our family grew closer, and the bond between Megan and Emma was something truly special. One evening, as we were having dinner, Emma looked up at us with a serious expression. "Mommy, Daddy, can I ask you something?" "Of course, sweetie," Megan said, smiling. "Can I have a little brother or sister?" Emma asked, her eyes wide with hope. Megan and I exchanged a look, a mixture of surprise and warmth. "Well, Emma," I began, "that is something we can certainly think about." After much discussion and consideration, Megan and I decided to expand our family. The anticipation and excitement of welcoming another child filled our home with joy. When Megan found out she was pregnant again, we celebrated with Emma, who was thrilled at the prospect of becoming a big sister. The months flew by, and before we knew it, we welcomed our son, Jack, into the world. Holding him for the first time, I felt the same overwhelming love and gratitude I had felt when Emma was born. Emma was over the moon, doting on her baby brother and proudly showing him off to anyone who would listen. Our family felt complete, and the love we shared only grew stronger. As the years passed, our lives continued to be filled with love, laughter, and new adventures. We watched Emma and Jack grow, their bond as siblings deepening. Our business continued to thrive, and Megan's career flourished as she became a sought-after design consultant. One evening, as we sat in the backyard watching the kids play, Megan turned to me with a contented smile. "Mark, I love our life. We've built something truly beautiful together." I looked at her, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. "I love our life too, Megan. and I can wait to see what the future holds. Life had taken us on an incredible journey filled with ups and downs, but through it all, we had each other. The pain and betrayal of the past had led to a future filled with love and happiness. I was grateful for every moment, knowing that the best was yet to come. Life was a beautiful blend of family, love, and work. Watching Emma and Jack grow up was a constant joy. Megan and I celebrated our successes and faced our challenges together, our bond growing stronger with each passing year. One evening, as we were tucking the kids into bed, Megan turned to me with a serious expression. "Mark, there's something I need to talk to you about." Concern flickered in my chest. "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "I have been offered a position at a prestigious design firm in New York. It is an incredible opportunity, but it would mean moving across the country." The news took me by surprise. Megan had worked so hard to build her career, and I knew this offer was a testament to her talent and dedication. "Wow, Megan, that is amazing, but it is also a big decision. What do you want to do?" She looked conflicted. "I love our life here, and I don't want to uproot the kids or disrupt your business, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." I took her hand, squeezing it gently. "We'll figure this out together. Let's talk it through and see what's best for our family." The next few weeks were filled with intense discussions and planning. We weighed the pros and cons, considered the impact on the kids, and explored ways to make the move work. It was a daunting decision, but we knew that supporting each other's dreams was crucial. Ultimately, we decided to take the leap. The opportunity was too significant to pass up, and we believed in our ability to adapt and thrive as a family. We broke the news to Emma and Jack gently, explaining the exciting adventure that lay ahead. They were initially apprehensive, but quickly warmed to the idea, especially when we framed it as a new chapter in our family's story. The move to New York was a whirlwind. We sold our house, found a new home in the city, and adjusted to a completely different pace of life. It was challenging, but we faced it with determination and optimism. Megan thrived in her new role, her talent and creativity shining brighter than ever. I managed the business remotely, flying back to oversee operations when necessary. We found a new rhythm, balancing our professional and personal lives in the bustling city. One Saturday afternoon, as we explored Central Park with the kids, Megan looked at me with a radiant smile. "Thank you, Mark, for supporting me and making this move possible. I couldn't have done it without you." I smiled back, feeling a deep sense of pride and love. "We are a team, Megan, and I am proud of us for making this work." Life in New York was an adventure. We discovered new favorite spots, made new friends, and embraced the vibrant culture of the city. Emma and Jack adapted quickly, their curiosity and resilience shining through. One evening, as we sat on the rooftop of our apartment building, watching the city lights, Megan turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Mark, do you ever think about expanding the business here? There's so much potential in this city." The idea intrigued me. "I've thought about it. It would be a big step, but it could be amazing." Her eyes sparkled with excitement. "Let's do it. I believe in you, and I think we can make it happen." With Megan's encouragement, I started laying the groundwork for expanding the business to New York. It was a challenging endeavor, but the prospect of reaching a new market was exhilarating. We found a suitable location and began setting up a new workshop and store. The process was demanding, but the support from Megan and the kids made it all worthwhile. Their enthusiasm and belief in our vision kept me motivated. On the day of the grand opening, Megan and I stood in front of the new store, holding hands and reflecting on our journey. "We've come so far," she said, her voice filled with pride. "We have," I agreed, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment, "and I couldn't have done it without you." The new store quickly gained popularity, attracting a diverse clientele and bringing fresh opportunities. Balancing two locations was challenging, but it was also incredibly rewarding. One evening, as we celebrated the success of the New York store with a small gathering of friends and family, I looked around the room, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. Megan stood by my side, her eyes shining with pride and love. "We did it," she said, clinking her glass against mine. "Yes, we did," I replied, feeling a surge of happiness. And the best is yet to come. Life continued to be a series of new beginnings and adventures. We faced challenges head on, always finding strength in our love and partnership. Our family grew closer, and the bond between us deepened. As we stood on the rooftop, watching the city below, I knew that our journey was far from over. With Megan by my side and our family growing stronger every day, I felt ready to face whatever the future held. The past had shaped us, but it was the love and resilience we shared that defined our future. And as I looked at Megan, I knew that no matter where life took us, we would face it together, stronger and more united than ever.